Hi, I'm Michael Hughes, and this is Contract Mastery. We're going to look at paragraph 2 of the 1 to 4 family residential contract, but specifically paragraph 2A, which gets us into a discussion about the legal description of the land. If we look at paragraph 2 in its entirety, we can see that there are three components of the property that are included in the definition of property, those being the land, the improvements, and the accessories. And then we have two categories that are excluded from the definition of property, those being the exclusions and the reservations. Today, we want to look at paragraph 2A, which talks about the land. And when we're describing the land, of course, we are talking about the legal description. The legal description is very, very important. And the reason for that is simply that the legal description is the primary method for identifying the specific parcel of property that is being sold with the 1 to 4 contract. The street address is an also known as, or an AKA piece of information. It is secondary. And that's different than how most people will think of it. You know, when you and I are trying to find a house or a plot of land, we're asking, okay, what's the address? Where do I go? But when we're selling the property for legal purposes, it's the legal description that is going to control. And so because of that, it's very important that we get the information correct on the contract. So the land, improvements, and accessories, collectively referred to as the property. Now we're going to talk about the land. Let's skip over the first line that talks about the lot and the block. We'll come back to that. But here we're going to enter in the city information and the county information. When we're talking about the city information, please do go and check the county tax record. Oftentimes, what parties may think is their city may only be a mailing address. So you can have a plot of land that sits in a city, but their mailing address might be in a different town. So you have to check the county record to make sure you're writing down the correct city. Once we get past that, then we enter in the street address. That's an also known as. So 123 Main Street, and we also enter in the zip code. Now we're going to talk about the lot, the block information, and all the rest of the legal description. Where are we going to get that information? Well, of course, it's on the MLS listing, which is supposed to pull directly from the county tax appraisal district on their tax sheet. Most of the time it does. I have seen a couple instances where there's been a glitch and the legal description on the listing is a little bit different than what's on the county tax appraisal record. So I always recommend that we go by the county tax sheet when we are looking for a legal description. And we will take the information from the county tax sheet and enter it into the 1 to 4 contract. Now, the 1 to 4 contract is formatted specifically for the lot and block system of describing real property. It is not formatted for the other systems out there for describing land with a legal description. That's the township system and the meets and bounds system. You may be having flashbacks right now to real estate school. But if you're dealing with a property that is within a city, it's urban, or it's in a suburb or a subdivision, most of the time you're going to be dealing with a lot and block legal description. So the steps for this are pretty simple. First, you're going to locate the legal description. We just talked about that. County tax records are the best. You're going to type the lot number and the block number into the contract form. And once you've done that, go back and check your work. You want to make sure you haven't typoed anything, you haven't fat fingered a number, and now it's the wrong lot and block. Once you've done that, you're going to copy and paste everything else in the legal description onto the contract form. Be sure you check your work here. Get all of the information and copy and paste it onto the contract form. If you find yourself having to manually type anything on the legal description, make sure you type it exactly as it appears on the tax record. If a word is abbreviated in the legal description, leave it abbreviated. Do not spell it out, even if it's the weirdest abbreviation you've ever seen. If a word is misspelled in the legal description, leave it misspelled. That's hard for me. I don't know about you, but you have to leave it misspelled. The information that we enter into the 1-to-4 contract has to match exactly with the county tax records so that they know which piece of property is being sold. Let's look at a couple of examples here. These are some real legal descriptions from some properties here around the Houston area. So the first one's pretty simple. Windsor Hill, Woodlands, Windsor Hills 01, Block 2, Lot 16. So we would type in the block number 2, and the lot number 16 in the appropriate blanks on the 1-to-4 contract. Then I would copy and paste everything else, that Woodlands, Windsor Hills 01. Copy that and paste it onto the blank in the 1-to-4 contract. Here they have abbreviated Woodlands. That is a weird abbreviation for it. We have to leave it like it is. The second one, again, pretty simple. Lot 6, Block 2, Hampton Creek, Section 8. So we would type in the number 6 and the number 2 for the lot and the block. Make sure we get them in the correct place. And then we would copy and paste Hampton Creek, Section 8 into the rest of the legal description. Here's one that's kind of weird. Lot 22, Block 3, and then a whole bunch of numbers, and then Charterwood, Section 1. Okay, we're going to type in the number 22 for the lot. We're going to type in the number 3 for the block. And then we're going to copy and paste everything else, including that long, weird number, all the way from the 017 all the way over to Section 1. Copy all of that and put it into the legal description. Don't leave anything out. Right now, I don't know if that is a survey number or what that number represents, but it's there for a reason, and we have to make sure we include it. Let's look at the next one. Lot 35 and Tract 34, Block 4 of Lakewood Park, Section 2. Here, what I would do is on the lot block, I would type in number 35, and then I would put an ampersand, and I would put NTR34. Put that in there. Put LT35, ampersand TR34. You can copy and paste it if it'll fit on that block. And then you type in the 4 for the block, and then copy and paste Lakewood Park, Section 2. If you can't fit the lot 35 and tract 34 on that little bitty blank that goes for the lot number, then I would try to copy and paste this entire thing onto the third line of the legal description. Leave the lot part blank, leave the block part blank, and just copy and paste that whole thing onto paragraph 2A, assuming that it will fit. If you get something that is too big to fit, we're going to talk about that in just a bit, so hang tight. The next one down, that number that begins with the letter S, S921120, that is a survey number. So here the block and the lot are at the end of the legal description. So you would type in the number 7 for the lot, the number 2 for the block number, and then you would copy and paste everything from S921120 all the way through Tavola 20, copy and paste all of that and put it into the legal description. Last one, here we have a property that consists of multiple lots. So again, you have to get all of the information. Here, I'm pretty certain that all of this information for the lot is not going to fit in that little bitty blank that they give us. So once again, I would try copying and pasting this entire legal description into the third blank in paragraph 2A. If it's going to fit, great. If it's not going to fit, we'll talk about that in just a minute, so hang tight with me. When we're talking about the other types of legal descriptions, the township system and the meets and bounds. Township, you probably remember from your nightmares of real estate exams. You know, here we're talking about what the southern half of the northeast corner of the west quadrant of the, you know, whatever. And they get really long. And you literally, for me, I had to draw out pictures to understand what they were talking about. Well, these are not going to fit in your lot and block descriptions in paragraph 2A, but they're usually short enough that you can copy and paste them into paragraph 11, which is special provisions, and that would be a factual statement or a business detail of the transaction. The legal description is a factual statement or a business detail. So you could, if you're dealing with a township legal description and it won't fit in paragraph 2A, you can copy and paste it into paragraph 11 for special provisions. If the description is too long to fit into special provisions, which many times will be the case, especially when you're dealing with a meets and bounds description, then in that case, you have to use an exhibit and attach it to the contract. So let's take a look at what that might look like. So if we have one that is going to fit in special provisions, say we've got a township description and they're talking about, you know, the southeast quarter of the eastern half of the southern half of the, you know, whatever. You can copy and paste all of that into special provisions. And then in paragraph 2A, just write this, see paragraph 11, special provisions. That's all you have to write. When you're doing this, be very, very careful with your copying and pasting. You have to make sure that you get all of the legal description and you don't leave any of it out. Double check your work, triple check your work. This is very, very important. When you're dealing with a meets and bounds legal description, what happens here is the surveyor provides a written description of how a person would literally walk around the outer boundary of the property. And that's how they describe the boundaries. Okay. You're going to start at point X. You're going to walk, I don't know, 537 feet north by northwest to the iron post. And in, you know, earlier days, it might have been, you know, to the large rock or to the big oak tree, whatever. And then you're going to turn south and they're going to give you some more directions. And eventually you will walk all the way around the perimeter of the property. I always kind of think of these as treasure chests or treasure maps, like pirate treasure maps. Like, okay, you're gonna go, you know, 12 paces north to the big X, and then we're going to turn to the west and all that. But nowadays, these they can get very long, especially when you're dealing with a large piece of property. They're almost always going to be on their own exhibit, which you are going to have to attach to the contract. And it's okay to do that. The contract tells us so, right, in paragraph 2A, that it's either going to be described as this lot and block or as described on an attached exhibit. Most meets and bounds descriptions will already be on their own exhibit or on a separate sheet of paper. If not, you may have to copy and paste the description onto a blank sheet of paper and then attach that to the contract as an exhibit. In horrible nightmare cases, you may find yourself having to retype a meets and bounds legal description. If you find yourself in this position, be extremely careful and just triple check every letter, every comma, everything in that legal description. It has to be exactly the same. Don't make any typos. Once you have the exhibit completed, you want to clearly label that page as Exhibit A and make sure that that label matches with whatever you write in the contract. So when we get up to paragraph 2A, you can write in C Exhibit A and just make sure that the name matches. So you don't want to have the page say Exhibit A and then on your contract you write C Exhibit 1. You want to have a matchup. Make sure you got the title the same as what you write in paragraph 2A. When we are attaching extra pages to our contract, what we mean by that, if we're talking about a printed document that's on paper, then the extra page has to be physically stapled to the contract. It has to be one document. If we're talking about a PDF file, that exhibit page must be part of the same PDF file as the contract itself. So there's a couple of options for that. You can print it all on paper and then attach or include the exhibit and then scan it all as a single PDF file. That works just fine. Or if you have a PDF program that has the capability to merge different PDF files into a single file, then you want to do that. Make sure that you've merged the exhibit file in with the contract file and then give it a new name as a single document. The thing that you don't want to have happen, you do not want to have the contract be one PDF file and the exhibit be a separate PDF file. Technically, they're not attached to each other, and it's just too easy to lose the exhibit file. Always have them be part of the same PDF file. Okay, let's recap. I'm going to recap how to find the information and put it on the 1-to-4 family contract. Step 1, locate the legal description of the property. Tax records are the best source. Type in the lot number and the block number on the contract form. Make sure that you check your work. Next, you're going to copy and paste the rest of the legal description in its entirety to the contract form in paragraph 2A. Always, always, always check your work and make sure you've got the correct legal description. You do not want there to be any question at all as to exactly which piece of land we're trying to sell here. For meets and bounds legal descriptions, you attach an exhibit to the contract most of the time. For township legal descriptions, you can hopefully copy and paste the legal description to special provisions, or if it's very, very lengthy, you will have to attach an exhibit to the contract.